But woo-woo, chakra alignment optional. I wore a robe once on an Instagram video to go woo, and I got some hate for that. So I chose not to wear my robe today for everyone's benefit. But this stuff I think is important. You know, there's the tactical stuff that everyone kind of knows. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at the chat, which is eat less, move more, with obviously nuance and adjustments and phases. But that's the easy part on paper. The hard part is actually developing the identity and the positive self-talk and the commitment underneath the surface to really drive results that last. So this is all about your word is your wand. Okay, so there's some action that has to follow, but we start with the word choice that helps shape our identity. Florence Scovel Shinn, I believe that's how you pronounce it. This is a great book. I believe, gosh, it was released a long time ago, but it's kind of one of the founding fathers or mothers of this movement. So we're basically just teaching what the book tells you with our own little Calfit spin. So words are not a magic spell. Like, you can't just manifest all the things you want in life without obviously taking action, but it allows you to steer the wheel in the right direction. So your language, for positive, for better or worse, it drives the attention, like what you notice in your environment. If you're talking positively, you tend to notice more good things. And if you're talking right about yourself, your identity, who you believe you are, is coming from a place that, lends itself to better outcomes. But most importantly, when you believe yourself to be a fitness person in this context, you will likely take the right actions more often. Not all the time. Even people identify as fitness people have deviations from the plan. But more often than not, they don't skip the workout because that's part of who they are. They like how they feel after, right? That's one example. And then lastly, we look for evidence of that new identity. And all the people I've had on that have spoken to this topic in particular, like Gavin previously, Dr. Divi more recently, it's all about looking for little bits of evidence every day, the small wins that reinforces that new identity changing. Okay. So words just make the better choice a little bit easier. Type a yes so far if I'm trying to keep this fairly simple. Okay. Good. 5 ideas worth stealing from Shinn. Okay, good. Words reveal, like your speech exposes the story underneath, and your identity repeats. Okay. So what is faith prepares? Well, certainty acts before the evidence arrives. So if you know I'm going to be this healthy version of myself, you've got this picture in your head before you have any proof of concept, right? You look in the mirror and you don't like what you look like, but if you know that things are going to come for you in due time, that's what's going to lead to the eventual evidence bearing fruit. Right on. Volume went low. I may have, my internet's been kind of choppy, so if I freeze up, hopefully it doesn't cut us off completely. All right. Okay. The big one, and I think this is important in communities like this, other people's success doesn't steal yours away. I think that applies to everything in life. You have to have an abundant mindset about this stuff, but you should look for inspiration in seeing someone just like you who's done it, who got through the messy middle and accomplished their goals, because that means you can do it too. But if you are, lead with jealousy, not inspiration, it's going to hamper your own success. Oh, those rich people are miserable and evil. Well, then you likely won't get to their place in life, right? As a bad example, but that's one example. So we want to stop watering the outcome you do not want. What does that mean? We'll get into that. So number one, your words reveal the story that's running underneath the surface that actually drives your actions and outcomes. So if you always say, I always fall off, that story is I'm unreliable, I can't commit to things. You say, I have no willpower, it means you can't trust yourself, round the donuts. I'm too busy, my health isn't a priority. And try saying that and seeing how it lands, right? I mean, we get that one a lot. Oh, life is crazy, I've got this, that, the other thing. Yes, but fitness should be the foundation. It's the only way you're going to be able to deal with it all. So we've got to be careful what words we use, and we're going to go through a little exercise at the end to help with this. A big one is not to fake positivity, like shouting positive affirmations in the mirror while you're downing a sleeve of Oreos. Like, we don't really buy what we're telling ourselves, right? But if we have some bridge language, it helps us reframe when we used to say, oh, I blew the whole week. F it. We'll restart Monday. That gives me 3 whole days to blow up my plan, and I'll try to undo the damage in 72 hours. Whereas you said, one rough meal is not a rough week. Just win the next meal. I have no time. And then that just gets you off the hook, where you could say, let's just squeeze 10 minutes of movement in here. Maybe I can start with 10 minutes of this workout that's assigned to be 30 minutes. I bet you'll find you have the time once you start. I'm bad at consistency. I'm practicing recovering faster. Nothing is working. Oh, okay, wait. What evidence am I ignoring? Did I drink more water yesterday than I used to? Are my step counts up over 10% than they used to be? Those are all wins that you're developing this identity. No one goes from 0 to 60 with this stuff perfectly. It's about building that 1% a day. All good so far? Yes. Good. Number 2, your own words reinforce your identity. Other people's opinions can seep in and shape your words. That's not ideal unless it's a positive environment like the one we've developed here. But you have to start with, I am the kind of person who keeps promises small enough to keep. Drinking that water before coffee, something like that. I am the kind of person who resets after a bad day or imperfect day. I wouldn't even use the word bad. I am the kind of person who weight trains because future me deserves the support. I don't want to have that chair that drives me up the wall to my second floor. That would be a worst case scenario. Okay, whoops. Identity becomes believable when you collect receipts. A stack of undeniable proof you're becoming who you say you are. Thanks, Chris. Drawing on my screen accidentally. I love it. So words equal small actions equals evidence equals stronger identity. Okay. Keep on going. So the affirmation opens the door, the positive affirmations, the woo-woo, but the action actually proves that you're becoming the person that you can stay there. Okay. So when you link your identity to someone who exercises regularly, guess what? You do it more often. Pretty crazy. All right. Hope waits, faith prepares. So what does that mean? Hope is not a strategy. Maybe this time will be different. I'll try. But then we wait for motivation. We wait for September. We wait for January. We wait to feel ready when we never really do feel ready 100%. I have a lot of these conversations with people who aren't on the inside. In my messages, 5-year history of chats, saying the same things they say every year, and they're in the same spot or worse. Surprise, surprise, right? Whereas faith is, I'm preparing for the person I'm becoming. I'm going to book that workout in my calendar. I'm going to start the plan. Maybe not Monday. Go for Sunday, just to buck a trend. I'm going to prep those meals for the week. I'm going to ask for support. Taking some sort of leap of faith that gets you in positive motion. That's where the magic happens. Okay. Faith, not hope. Type of 1. This is so far resonating. I'm hoping. That was sent privately, but I got 1-1. We'll take that. Put a 1 finger up. There you go, Martha. Appreciate it. Faith needs a calendar, though. Okay, so words without action are just motivational wallpaper. There's so many people that are struggling that share memes. Like, I know personally, they share their Pinterest and there's memes on their Facebook about, manifest your success. But underneath the surface, I know what's going on in their life and they're struggling in all areas because good intentions don't lead to good actions or outcomes. So what we need to say is a 3-part process here. I protect my energy. What's the step to protect my energy? I have to have bedtime alarm going off at 10:15 so that I go to bed by 10:30. And to prove this is actually a priority for me, the phone is out of the bedroom at 10:15, as one random example. If you can think of one, I would share that in the chat, but we are going to exercise this workshop at the end a little differently. But that's it. A lot of people stop at say it. Good intentions. I'm going to lose 30 pounds this year, but they don't schedule any action steps or commit to anything. So obviously the saying doesn't lead to doing. The old cliche, actions speak louder than words. Number 4, just to reiterate that point, I went kind of in depth on this on the first slide, but someone else's win does not steal yours. Like the worst thing to do is that comparison. It's a thief of joy. Like they're ahead, I'm behind. You don't know where they started. Maybe they have a smoother path, but their result is proof that change is possible. So I think it's important to have people to look up to for inspiration in whatever area of life you're looking at changing. Okay. So your lane has traffic. Maybe it has more traffic than theirs. Maybe they don't have a speed limit like you have. Whatever the case may be, you can still get there. All right. 5th and final, attention is fertilizer. Okay. Whatever you rehearse gets easier to notice. When you're constantly in a state of scarcity or lack or low energy, why isn't it working? Why am I so far behind? Why is the scale stuck? Why do I always struggle? You'll just find more and more evidence to reinforce that. Whereas if we focus more on the direction you're going in, what's improving? What's better this week than last? What's the next move? That's powerful. Or what can I release today? A lot of us have some trauma hangups that really put a bit of a governor on our success. Yeah. So we actually don't want to fixate too much on the outcome, the end result. We just want to focus on the direction, the day-to-day. Okay. And like I said, affirmations have their place, but not if you don't buy your own lie. So if you say, I'm perfectly disciplined, I have to be 100% all in, or I fail, that's too far away from believable. Whereas if you say, I'm learning to keep promises to myself, I'm becoming a fitness person that prioritizes the gym. I am becoming. That shift makes it more believable and more attainable. Because sometimes, even though this is kind of the messaging out there, is that really unrealistic positive self-statements are the key. Delusional self-belief, which there's a time and place. But from a believability perspective, to get you moving in the right action, it has to kind of bridge the gap, be somewhere in the middle. Okay, some examples. After you miss a workout, I don't need a perfect week. I need a short memory. I'll just do the next workout the next day. After an off-plan meal, my next choice still counts. Busy week. What's the minimum version that keeps the promise alive here? And when progress feels slow, slow evidence is still evidence. There's something to be found. This is why we do Wins Wednesday. Trying to look at the positive, but not sound too positive. Tough balance. I agree. Okay. So this is the takeaway. Chris, I don't know if you can undo those red lines, but all good. I think people can read it. Is to do, and we're going to do one of these right now, because otherwise I don't know if it would ever be done, is the 7-day portal challenge. So what does it mean? Notice, catch one repeated complaint you're making. And we'll give an example here shortly. Turn it into a believable bridge. So nothing too woo-woo positive, but something that's going to get you moving in the right direction. One small action to take, and then look for evidence. Okay. So this more or less says what I'm going to say here, but what's the old sentence? What have I been saying? What is useful to get me moving away from this? And what will I do in the next 24 hours? Proof of practice. So here's the example. I always fall off when work gets busy. Busy weeks, This is the bridge sentence now that you write out. Busy weeks don't need to mean quitting. They require a revised version of the plan. And then what is the plan? I schedule a 20-minute workout for tomorrow morning instead of my usual 40, whatever. And my shoes beside my bed. And then the record. This is the vision. I keep a promise during a busy week. That is evidence that I'm becoming more consistent. Right? You adjust, you don't disappear. So let's get some examples in the chat, and then we can absolutely unmute. But I'd like to see a couple come in. So what's the old sentence? Number 1. Number 2, the bridge. Number 3, the proof. Don't worry about number 4. It's more or less the outcome. I refuse to move on until we have this. Oh, yeah. Yes, Suzanne, these patterns are so ingrained, it's like developing a whole new highway between your neurons. And that requires a lot of repeated patterns. All right, so that's number 1. Danielle, I'm too busy to work out. What's the bridge? Shauna, we're still battling that one, aren't we? I have to eat everything on my plate. No, you don't. You can't ship it to Africa. You're making starving children in Africa sick by the time it reaches them. I always need a snack in the evening. Yeah. And that might open the floodgates, right? So let's get the bridge sentences down. What's the reframe for these examples? Love it, Danielle. I can fit in a workout if I schedule it. It's non-negotiable like anything else. If it's in the calendar, most likely you're going to get done. Nice. And then the proof is just the action you're going to take. Maybe it's actually putting that in your calendar as a reoccurring appointment with yourself. Okay. Any other bridge statements? Danielle's the only one so far that I can see. Martha, regarding nighttime snacking, I can change a poor habit if I just try the suggested action with my coach, even once. Yes, I would love that. See if it works. We don't know till we try. Okay. Let's get 1 or 2 more. And then happy to open it up. I'd like to get some conversation going on this topic. People are usually a little quieter on this Wednesday because it's a bit more woo-woo, less surface level, but I think it's important. So Wendy, was the nighttime snacking have a piece of fruit instead? Yeah, swap, don't suppress. You've got the calorie room, something that's not going to lead to just desiring more and more. That should work. Sometimes the best snack after 9 p.m. is toothpaste, right? Brush your teeth, go to bed. Okay. All right, let's unmute. Any questions on this stuff? Bonus points for next draw if you do. I'm not afraid to bribe people. Stop sharing. We've got roughly 22 people here, so odds are someone's ready to chat. Rose, you're touching your screen, so I'm assuming you want to communicate here, but maybe not.
So how do you quiet the voice in your head that's stalling you or trying to trick you into like eating that snack? Or like last night I was dying for potato chips. I don't know why and where it came from. I didn't have them. I had blueberries, which did not satisfy the chip monster. But how do you kind of stop it in your tracks? Like it's easy to look at it afterwards and be like, wow, but when you're in that spin.
Yeah, Shauna kind of nailed it. Like environment's step 1. If the chips aren't within reach, you don't have to like have a Mexican standoff with your kryptonite and try to lean on willpower. I think that's probably priority 1, if possible, is to just not have it in the house.
Definitely not in the house, but I mean, I could have
Yeah, okay.
my car and drove to Max and
You would still, yeah, okay, well.
I did it like old me would have. I would have been like, fuck it. I want chips. I'm gonna go get chips. I don't care. It's 9:30 at night.
Yeah, that's dedication. But walk to 7-Eleven. Show you. The walk probably doesn't negate the full bag of chips, unfortunately, depending on the size, but not a bad idea. You might be a craving for something that chips provide you, right? Sometimes it's just the salt thing. So if you can have a salty snack that's obviously lower in calories, you squint hard enough. Oh, Wendy is on the same page there. Sometimes it might just be addressing like a micronutrient shortfall. Like there's people that are pregnant are craving like certain things that are in pickles because their body's like demanding it, right? And sometimes we just identify with the bad food as the only way to do that, to quench that craving. It's not always the case. So is there anything like salty, chippy consistency that is an okay alternative for you? It won't be the same thing, of course. Chips are manufactured in a lab for us to love them. But I'm asking you, Danielle, because I know this is, yeah, okay. Dill pickles is an example. Definitely for the salt thing. Martha says crunch. Yeah. I mean, there are the Quest chips that
That
are,
salty sweet.
yeah, you froze up on me, but you said salty and
Oh,
sweet, both?
I said probably popcorn would be
Mm, yeah.
something I could go to, but
Mm,
um I don't typically snack anymore, but it was just very bizarre that last night I was just really eating something salty. Um so yeah, dill pickles, I do have pickles.
yeah.
It's more
Yeah,
that
that's,
negative and like that negative
mm,
voice in my head that gets me
right.
every once in a while. If I had like a bad day at work or there's lots of stuff happening, it's like, oh, now I gotta
Mm.
cook supper. What do I want
Yeah,
to
and
eat
our
for?
brain goes to food to address it, because we know we're going to get kind of a happy chemical response. So can we get that from, I don't know, for me, it's like a cold shower gives me the dopamine spike, but it's miserable to do initially. So that's probably a
Yeah.
bad example for most people. That works for me. A walk, listening to a podcast, music, a show, things that aren't necessarily calorie dense, calorie free alternatives to address some stress in your life. That's not a bad idea. We got more coming in the chat here, but seaweed chips. I don't know if that's going to win over too many rows, but if it works for you, awesome. Christine also touches on the protein shortfall. Like we crave food until we address that. And if you're deficient in protein, you want more and more food until you get it. There's some science behind that. It's not the case for you, but oftentimes just filling up on protein can take that edge off a bit. So that's a good reminder as well. Anyone else? Yeah. So yeah, the short answer, I think, Danielle, is we all battle that at times. Usually, if I'm extra hungry, tired, I think it's the HALT acronym. I angry. Can't remember what the T. T is tired. I'm missing one though. What's the L? Loneliness. Anyway, you're dealing with one of those four emotions. We tend to want to try to fill that void with something. So let's first address one of those if we can, without the calorie density of chips, and you might feel you're fine afterwards. Okay. Yes, and addressing hydration. So it could be a number of things, and sometimes it's just maybe you need the chips. Maybe you're dieting too aggressively and it's been weeks, and this might actually be a nice replenishment, and then I can move on. Not always the wrong answer either. So good food for thought. Loaded question and a lot of different answers. Anyone else? Don't be shy. Something on the tip of your tongue. Let's hear it. I've never heard of snackish protein chips, but that's something to look into for your chip cravings. Where'd you get those, Jackie? Do you know? Remember? I know you're on a phone, so mute.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi. You can hear me okay?
yeah, we got you.
Okay. Yeah, I got them at Superstore, like in the like natural food section. Like I would
Okay.
say they're similar calories as regular chips, but there's probably like three times the protein. So it, helps
Big
to
difference.
offset if you're really like needing the
Mm-hmm.
chips. That gives you, I think I got the barbecue flavor, and I think they were 220 for a serving of like 50 grams, and I think there were 12 or 13 grams of protein, and maybe like 4 or 5 grams of fiber. So not bad for like a chip, and tasted really good too.
Yeah, that's good to know because Quest has a competitor now. I thought they were kind of the only one in the space. I guess chips are hard to replicate as a
Yeah.
protein food, so we'll have to check that one out. That's good. Good tip. I know for me, when the only time I really crave salty is when I'm deficient in sodium for the day. I'm like, oh, I haven't been salting iodized salt on my food. Normally, I use a lot of salt because you sweat a lot when you're working out. You need salt. Obviously, if you have high blood pressure, consult your physician, of course, but that usually negates it for me. However, the sweet cravings never go away. And the key for me there is having like a controlled amount, like ice cream bar, half done wrap versus a tub of ice cream that sits whispering sweet nothings from the freezer. And I know if I open that one bowl, I might pretend it's one bowl on the tracking app, but it's definitely 2 or 3 portions. So that's for me. I can't have that in the house, but I can have the mega ice cream sandwiches. And then usually I can fit that in. 200 calories is not unreasonable, right? Anyone else before we shut
Yeah,
her down?
I was gonna
Go ahead,
say real
Martha.
quick, if you do want to kind of itch that or scratch that chip craving, like there's boxes at know it's a box, but of the small bags of chips at Costco, and they're only 150 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get to kind of, ease your craving, have some chips, but you've eaten the whole bag, only it's a small bag instead of the family size bag, which I'm sure we've all dug into a time or two. So
That's a good one. And that's the whole beauty of the CAP system is
yeah.
you should be able to have your favorite foods, within reason, as long as the portions are aligned. And yeah, small bags work. And as someone said, I think Danielle said, popcorn alternative, you get more volume with that. You're obviously eating for longer. A full bag of Smart Pop popcorn is 300 calories or something. So if you're really hungry, maybe that's the better choice in the matter. But if you're just craving chips, for the fact you're craving chips, small bag, like Martha said, might be able to take the edge off.
Here, like it's rarely hunger that's
Yeah.
driving it. For me, anyway, it's rarely,
Mm,
hunger.
yeah. And we get into these patterns, it's very habitual. And also at the end of the night, our willpower battery is kind of drained by making decisions all day. And then for whatever reason, our brain goes there when we're kind of tired and feeling kind of relaxed. The edge is off. So having some system in place, some strategies to help, I think that's super important. That was sent privately. Yeah, so Costco carries Quest chips for those asking, but I don't know if Snackish is there yet. Looks like it might only be at Superstore. Okay, anything else? Cool. Fair enough. We can leave it there. So I would encourage you, if you didn't write it out already, that 4-step process at the end, repeat that weekly for 7 days. Scribble it down on a notebook. Send it to me in the app if you like. Just that one pattern that you seem to really be bought into that's not going to help you in the long run. We want to rewire that, come up with a better reframe. Simply Protein chips were shared as well. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that brand either. So I guess because I'm not a chip guy, I'm not well versed on those, but that's not them, right, Jackie? Simply Protein? No. Okay. Well, those might be worth looking into though, too. Unless the label is misleading.
They're different one. They're like a different kind, but you can get those ones at a big bag at Costco, and they're more of like a tortilla chip, and they're really good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and make sure you guys,
sorry,
yeah,
I was just gonna say I've been making nachos with those Simply Protein, and they're really good.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, you can make nachos, low-fat cheese on top, boom, and it satisfies that itch. Just make sure you guys are conscious shoppers and read the label on the back, right? Yes, I was about to go there, Abby, where the protein snacks have kind of gotten to the other extreme, where protein's in everything. But then when you look at the label, it's like a poor source of protein, a lot of processed ingredients. Time and place, great, but still, we want that 80-20 rule to apply. Abby, you want to expand on your final comment there? I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's although it's great to have these options, these high protein, this high protein, that I actually had this conversation with the client the other day who told me she was starving all day long, hitting her targets. And I looked at her logs and she had a protein shake and 2 protein bars every day. And I'm like, well, no wonder you're freaking starving. Not filling
Mm,
yourself up. You're not getting enough fiber. We're not getting enough whole foods. So looking at voluminous foods and just, you know, use sparingly doesn't mean you can't, but let's also make the majority of our day real whole foods that actually fill us up and like I said, increase our fiber intake, and then we're probably not going to be wanting those snacks later when we do that. So anyways, just a little caveat.
yeah, and for me, the biggest key, I want to feel as satiated as possible on a diet. So the more things I can take to accomplish that, food volume being key. Obviously, protein in general helps with that, but it's a vastly different coming from a chicken breast versus protein bar, right? So time and place, and we're always kind of in that mindset. Snacking, it's maybe brought up from childhood. Snacking every few hours, where if you 3 square meals, you almost don't even think about snacks after dinner. Fine, but the rest of the day you probably can get away without it if you're really focused in on whole foods. So thanks for going there. I was about to go there, so I'm glad we're on the same page. But still helpful to have alternatives to your favorite treats and snacks that might feel a little better macro wise. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just, yeah, time and place. Okay. Yeah, there you go, Christine. When people are bringing the chips out, you've got a better alternative. That's the idea. All right. Can leave it there. Going once, twice. All good. Excellent. Chat next week. Cheers.